Hey there, I'm Braden here from Voiceflow, and today we're going to learn how to build a full chat assistant on Voiceflow in just a couple of minutes. We're going to use ChatGPT, we're going to use knowledge bases and NLU intents, and a whole bunch of other cool stuff to make a really simple but powerful chatbot, again, just in a few minutes. So here I am on the Voiceflow Canvas, and you'll see it's a infinite design canvas that we can use to actually build our assistant. I'm on a trackpad, so I'm using two-finger scroll, but if you are on mouse and keyboard, you can go up into the top left here and be able to change your navigation style. Voiceflow is a drag and drop builder, which means that we're going to use building blocks to create the actual conversation structure that our assistant is going to use. Now, these building blocks are found here, and they're called steps in Voiceflow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull a text step onto the canvas, and I'm going to link it up to the starting block. The starting block, which is this green one here, is on every single Voiceflow canvas, and you cannot delete it. And this is where the conversation starts when you actually start the conversation with your assistant. So let's go ahead and link this up from the start over to our text step. Inside the text step, we can write something like, welcome to Voiceflow. And now, if I was to hit run, you'll see that the conversation is going to start, and it's going to say, welcome to Voiceflow. So we've built our very first chat experience on Voiceflow. It's incredibly simple, but we're going to start to layer on some complexity now, so stay with me. Now, the next thing we're going to want to go ahead and do is use a ChatGPT response to ask the user, how can we help? So I'm going to go ahead and pull in a response AI step. What this allows us to do is to actually prompt a large language model like ChatGPT, and you can actually change the model here. But we're going to just use ChatGPT Turbo. And we could say something like, ask the user how you can help, use 5 words. And now if we hit preview, we're going to see, how may I assist you? Great, so that sounds good. So now we're actually saying, welcome to Voiceflow. We wrote that text ourselves. It's always going to come out like that. We're then using ChatGPT to dynamically generate a response. And then what we can do now is listen for what the user might say. So we're going to do a choice. And this is where intents, which are functions of NLU, which is natural language understanding, come into Voiceflow, but they're really simple, so stick with me here. If we go in to our editor for the actual choice block, the choice block is going to be deciding which way to branch in the conversation based off what the user says. So this is where we're going to create what's called an intent, which is essentially understanding, well, what did the user say? What do they want? And we're going to go down that path because that's what they want. So we give you a whole bunch of pre-built intents in Voiceflow, so such as yes, no, stop. But I'm going to create a new intent, and this is going to be for refunds. And so it's going to be something like, I want a refund. These are called utterances. They are examples of what a user might say to invoke that refund. I can generate 5 or 6 different variations of that just to make it a little bit easier on the assistant to actually understand what the user is saying and to actually invoke that intent. These all sound really good. Let's go ahead and hit create intent. And now what we're going to do is say, okay, great. If the user wants a refund, we're going to go down this path. We're going to go over here, and we're going to do an AI response step. And what's really cool about Voiceflow is you can even do something like respond from memory. And so in this case, we're actually allowing ChatGPT to decide how to respond. We don't even have to tell it how to respond. It's going to look through the conversation that's been had so far with the user, and it's going to respond appropriately using memory. So now let's actually go ahead and try out our conversation. So I'm going to go ahead into the top right here, and we're going to have to train our assistant. So you'll see this pops up. What that means is it's going to train the natural language understanding model that Voiceflow is running with, and that's going to make your assistant really, really smart. You can test your system without doing this, but if you do, it might not always understand what you're saying, and it might go in the wrong direction. So we're going to go ahead and wait for this to finish here. There we go. And let's hit run test. So now it's going to say, welcome to Voiceflow. How may I assist you? And I could go in, if I want to remove the quotations, I could ask it to not use quotes. And I could say something like, I want a refund for a pair of shoes I bought on Tuesday. And now it's going to go ahead and respond using memory. So it's going to respond dynamically. I'm sorry to hear that. As a virtual assistant, I cannot assist you with refunds. You will need to contact the company. So in this case, it's using an AI safety prompt saying, hey, I can't help you with that. I'm just a large language model. But you could actually change the system prompt. So let's try that again. If I go into prompt settings, I could say, you are a shoe store AI assistant. So now we can actually tell it, hey, you are a store assistant. You're totally allowed to do this. So let's go ahead and try it again. Let's say I want a refund for shoes I bought. And now this time, because we changed that system prompt, it's going to go ahead and say, sorry, I actually hear that you want a refund. Can you provide me with the order number? And it's going to simulate what an AI shoe store assistant would actually do. So really cool using system prompts and memory. We've already done a lot in our basic little assistant. Now let's make it even a little bit more complex by adding a knowledge base. So if I go over to the far left of Voiceflow, you'll see we have a knowledge base section. And in here, I already have a couple of examples, but I'll delete these just to show what it actually looks like to add them. What a knowledge base is it's a place where your assistant can pull information that it might not know on its own. So for example, in the case of a shoe store assistant, it might not know the actual prices of the shoes. It might not know much information about the shoes. And so this is where you can give the assistant information that it can pull from to actually make decisions and be able to answer questions appropriately. So if we go to add data source in the top right, you'll see we can go ahead and add a PDF. So I'm going to add in a YC application, which is a PDF for a startup accelerator. And I could even add a data source for, let's try https://voiceflow.com/about. So I can actually add a URL. And maybe, for a shoe store assistant, you would add something like Nike, or you'd add your own shoe store URL. It's really easy. And now your assistant has knowledge of everything that's on that website as well as in that PDF. If we wanted to actually test out what it would say here, I could say something like, when was Voiceflow founded? And it's going to go ahead here and generate a response. Voiceflow founded in 2019, and so that's actually coming from our public website, which is really cool. You can actually see here it was all scraped from the website. So now if we go back to our design, when we hit run, it's going to say, welcome to Voiceflow. How can I help? I'll say, when was Voiceflow founded? Now, in this case, it's going to use the knowledge base and actually pull from the knowledge base and say, hey, Voiceflow was founded in 2019. And we can even see the sources of where it got it from. So this is how you can build an assistant that's using ChatGPT to generate responses dynamically. You can change the system persona to be able to take on different tasks, such as a shoe store AI, or maybe a customer assistant, maybe even Darth Vader, as well as be able to pair it with a knowledge base, which makes your assistant really smart on particular topics from information that you provide. So this was a really basic example of a Voiceflow assistant. Voiceflow is incredibly powerful, allowing you to do custom API calls, be able to pull in custom data, collaborate with others, publish directly to channels like SMS, WhatsApp, your own web chat bot. This is really just the beginning, but hopefully this was a helpful video in helping you get started. We have lots of other videos on our YouTube, so be sure to check those out. And with that, I hope you enjoy Voiceflow. It is a lot of fun, and we're always here to help, so please let us know if you ever need anything. Thanks so much.